Hey, welcome! Today, we're going to talk about something we deal with all the time, parking. But what if I told you that the simple act of storing your car has these huge, invisible consequences? That it actually shapes our cities, our economy, and even how we interact with each other? It sounds wild, I know. So let's pull back the curtain on the hidden world of parking.
All right, first up, let's dive into something I'm pretty sure you've felt before. It's this weird contradiction at the heart of our cities, this feeling that there's never, ever enough parking, when the reality is we might actually be drowning in it. This is what we call the parking paradox.
You know that feeling, right? You're circling the block, you're already late, and you're just hunting for that one empty spot. It really feels like our cities are just starved for parking. But the real story is actually the complete opposite.
Yeah, see, the problem isn't a lack of parking. The real problem is what happens when we have way too much of it. The culprit is this set of invisible rules that basically forces our cities to become these giant seas of asphalt.
And those rules have a name: parking minimums. For decades, cities have basically told builders, hey, if you want to build an apartment, a restaurant, an office, you have to build a certain number of parking spots to go with it. And this isn't based on what people actually need. It's just a rigid, one-size-fits-all formula.
And the result of all this? Well, these requirements have totally reshaped our world. They push buildings really far apart, they create these massive, often empty parking lots, and they end up designing our entire communities around the needs of a car. It makes them less walkable, less vibrant, and honestly, less human.
But it's not just about design or how nice it is to walk around. As we're about to see, all of this supposedly free parking comes at a staggering and mostly hidden cost.
Get this. The cost to build just one single parking space in a structured garage can be as high as $37,000. That is a mind-boggling amount of money just to store one car.
And here's the absolute key to all of this. That cost doesn't just vanish into thin air. Nope, it gets bundled into everything else. The developer has to pay for it, so they pass that cost on to you in the form of higher rent, more expensive groceries, you name it. We are all paying for free parking, whether we drive a car or not. Okay, check out this real-world example. It's fascinating. You know Trader Joe's, right? Famous for its tiny, kind of chaotic parking lots. But look at their sales per square foot. It's almost double their competitor, Whole Foods, which usually has these huge, sprawling lots. By building less parking, Trader Joe's can afford to be in better, denser, more walkable locations, and their business absolutely thrives because of it.
And this brings up a really important point about fairness. When the cost of all that parking is baked into the price of rent and everything you buy, it means that people who don't even own a car, people with lower incomes, the elderly, people with disabilities, they are forced to help pay for the car storage of their neighbors. They're subsidizing it.
So, if our current way of doing things is so expensive and inefficient, what's the alternative? What could our cities look like instead? Well, let's explore a new vision. Wow. The contrast here is just stunning. On the left, you've got a street in Tokyo, and it's just alive with people and energy. And notice no on-street parking. And then on the right, you have a pretty typical view of Manukau in Auckland, where the buildings literally look like they're islands in an ocean of parking spots. I mean, which one looks more inviting to you?
So how does Japan pull this off? Well, it's a completely different philosophy. As this quote explains, in Japan, you literally can't buy a car unless you can prove you have a private, off-street spot to keep it. Parking isn't treated as a public right. It's seen as a private responsibility.
And this is what happens when you stop dedicating so much public land to storing private cars. That space is unlocked. It can finally breathe again. It can become a park or a plaza, a place for people to just be, to connect with their community. And the benefits are so tangible. I mean, look at this list from Auckland's own strategy. When we manage parking better, we get more space for bus lanes and bike paths, more attractive public spaces, wider sidewalks with more trees, spots for outdoor dining. Basically, we get cities that are more efficient, more beautiful, and just more fun for everyone.
Okay, so let's ground all these ideas in a real-world example. We're going to go back to Manukau, that city in Auckland we saw earlier, to see how this kind of transformation can actually happen.
So this timeline really tells the story of Manukau. It went from just open farmland to a classic 20th century city built entirely around the car. But by 2015, there was this realization that the old model just wasn't working. And that sparked a major rethink. And these old photos just make that shift so incredibly clear. You can literally see the green fields being replaced not just by buildings, but by these enormous parking lots that dictated the entire shape of the city. It was designed this way right from the start.
And here's the thing. By 2015, Manukau was an economic powerhouse, but leaders realized it just wasn't living up to its potential. It was just a bunch of destinations you drove between, not a real, vibrant city center. That car-focused design was actually holding it back.
So, what does the future look like? This is where policy starts to get really interesting, as cities like Auckland begin to actively undo the mistakes of the past.
Auckland came up with this really smart, nuanced strategy. Instead of a one-size-fits-all rule, they created 3 tiers. So in areas with very few transit options, they just react to parking problems as they come up. But in places with good public transport, they get proactive. They start managing parking to actually encourage people to use those other options.
This simple chart shows just how profound the shift in thinking is. On major routes, the #1 priority for that valuable curbside space used to be general car parking. Now it's dead last. Safety, public transport, bike lanes, public plazas, all of that comes first. It's a complete 180.
And this is what it looks like in the real world. This one little spot is no longer just storing a single empty car. Instead, it's a vibrant place where a dozen people can eat and talk and be a part of their city. This is what reclaiming the street looks like, one parking spot at a time.
So, it all leaves us with this one final, crucial question. When you look at the streets in your own neighborhood, in your own town, I want you to ask yourself, are we really putting our most valuable public land to its best possible use? What could our cities become if we chose to prioritize people over parking?